Okay, in my opinion, next week is going to be super crazy, not just for Bitcoin, but a lot of other assets and different asset classes, because there is, some global tensions happening with, I'm going to show you guys right now, with the Iran, Israel, and now US is included. And there was three Iranian nuclear uh, locations that were striked by the US. And, I made a video on this yesterday, talk about how, it may be a good time to kind of not just look at shorts, but to take advantage of VIX, the VIX jumping up when a lot of this kicks off. And I'm going to kind of go over that before I actually go on to the Bitcoin chart. But I'm just going to really just remind everyone about a lot of things I've been covering lately and what we could be looking for instead of just being surprised or just dragging along the price of Bitcoin, actually be well prepared. And it's all just gonna be my opinion, and it's what I'm doing just to show you guys. I'm not telling anyone to copy this, but it's just what I'm doing, what makes sense to me personally. And it's not financial advice. But yeah, a lot of this is starting to kick off, and I still believe it can get worse, much worse before it can get better. And if you guys have been looking at the VIX, and I said this yesterday, but again, it is the weekend, so we're not going to see this trade. We're not going to see any movement, but I wouldn't be surprised if, we see more news on this tomorrow, Sunday, just going into the next trading week, and more, whatever happened now can easily just, push the market down on next week. But regardless, I believe the VIX is getting ready to go much, much higher. And, it's kind of funny how this is all happening in in a very coincidental point in time, because the S&P has been up quite a lot, and we really haven't seen it, have like a somewhat of like a big dip, like we've seen here, big dip before it goes up higher. We haven't seen any of that happen, and now it's weakening, and then all this starts kicking off. I'm not saying this is all happening for a reason, but I'm saying it's kind of funny how a lot of this happens coincidentally. And when the S&P the S&P starts falling because there's fear, then we know the VIX kicks up, and the VIX just like pumps up like crazy aggressively. It can happen super quick. We've seen it happen here, a lot of times in the past, and this can be another reason for it to pop up. So I bought some UVXY. I bought UVXY on Friday, and I'm not gonna get too into it or really anything, just because um, this doesn't really have to do with Bitcoin directly. But I just wanted to share this with you guys in case there's still opportunity to pick some of this up, you know, next week before things really get worse and this pumps up like crazy. At least it's an opportunity to potentially make some really, really good profits off of a scared market due to this global tension. And I'm not telling anyone to really buy this. I'm not like telling anyone like it will go up. I'm just saying I'm personally buying it, and I recommend a lot of people to do their own research, because this could be a really good opportunity to make a lot of money while the overall market and the Nasdaq as well just begins to sell off. And of course, when we're looking at Bitcoin, the way I'm looking at this going forward is that we know, if you guys have been watching for a while, I've been keeping track of this purple area for quite some time. And I've said this in previous videos, but it's a very similar structure to 2024, where we had deep value, three tests of deep value before a pump up that breaks previous resistances, and then the price makes its way down to a proper retracement. And in this case, three times below 80K, big rally that breaks over previous resistances, and now the proper retracement for this whole move up would be inside this purple area. So really between 85 to 100K, but it's very possible that due to a lot of this fear that we're about to experience in the market, just due to global tensions, can actually cause us to maybe break below this a little bit, and it will be an artificial, you know, boost to the more, to the downside, which can actually be very, very attractive, because this doesn't directly affect Bitcoin, but it's still a risk on asset, and we're probably gonna see this dip quite aggressively if this continues to get worse. But as of right now, we did break those very important swing lows right here. So if the U.S. market was open, I'll be able to buy SBIT to short this, but I have to wait till Monday. So if we're still seeing weakening and we haven't actually gone down too much, I may be interested in actually buying some SBIT to short Bitcoin, because we're breaking these lows. We're still in an overall downtrend within the structure. But this is all, of course, a overall picture uptrend. Like if I zoom this out a line, I put this like on the daily, weekly, monthly candles. We're still very much in an uptrend, and we have a lot of room to go, especially eventually, when a lot of this begins to die down, and we finally have an interest rate cut, and tariffs begin to become, more of a past thing than a present thing, and lighten up, then, we're going to see, that affect prices very, very positively. But until that happens, we're still waiting for a proper retracement, and we're still waiting, not just for that good deal, but this is where patience really comes in. And that's why for the last few weeks, I've been saying, like, hey, I don't know about you guys, but I'm being very, very selective with taking short-term long positions, and I'm not being aggressive with taking long positions, because we don't have bullish confirmation to get out of this correction yet, and we still have, potential this higher, or not higher, this more significant retracement area that still needs to be filled before and now, since I'm looking to buy, and now since a lot of this global stuff is kicking off more aggressively, I'm more interested now in accumulating Bitcoin more aggressively, potentially below 95K. Like, I don't care if it breaks below 100K and comes down into here. I think I'm actually going to finish accumulating an overall swing trade for much higher prices eventually. In my opinion, just my own opinion, later this year will be in much higher prices when a lot of this is in the past. But due to the aggressive nature of how a lot of this is kicking off, I think I'm going to be more patient, actually wait to continue to accumulate below 95K, and that'll put me in a better position to take advantage of potentially much, much higher prices later this year. And I'm very much looking forward to that. It makes a lot of sense to me. So in the short term, it's like, well, we have a really nice downtrend going. Like, I don't even think taking short-term long positions here will be an ideal thing. I mean, we came into resistance very weakly here, but we had a nice resistance here. We had a second one and now a third one, and now the price is beginning to sell off quite a bit. We haven't seen the RSI really overexhaust itself to the bearish side, so that means that, well, if a lot of this continues to kick off negatively, the global stuff, then we can definitely see this much more aggressively extend to the downtime. We can see big red within the RSI. So basically what I'm trying to say here is, going forward, like, I'm looking at taking short positions so I can try to profit. I'm not just trying to profit off of the VIX, but I'm trying to profit off of Bitcoin coming down much lower, so we can still make money while the price comes lower. So as we get through Sunday and then finally into the next trading week, I'm going to be looking at signs of still a continuation that the price is going to come down lower. At any point we could have a little bit of a bullish correction, but regardless of that, it's not happening just yet. And we have a whole another day to get through before the trading week begins. So as we continue to get there, then, I'll keep you guys updated on how I'm personally approaching the chart and what I am personally doing. Regardless, it's very, very likely, in my opinion, that we're going to break the swing low, and regardless, just go below 100K. So that's something I'm looking forward to when it comes to taking shorts and making profits off of that, until we finally get like super discounted value. So then I can begin to accumulate long positions. So we can look at, finally breaking much higher, 115, 120K and much higher. So, don't be scared seeing much lower prices. I mean, regardless, if none of this global stuff was happening, we still have quite clearly a structure that's been calling for a overall proper retracement for a while. And I do believe that this retracement, again, I believe it can break down below us a little bit. I believe we can go anywhere between 80, 85K realistically as of right now, but we'll see how a lot of this evolves. But lower prices are pretty much, at this moment, super probable. And regardless of it not being good for anyone trying to take longs right now, I mean, we have a position right now where we can take shorts, make money off of that, and then wait for the price to really come down, because a lot of this global stuff is just gonna cause a lot of fear. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how next week kicks off, and if it does go down, cool, I'll make money off of the VIX, and then I'll start looking nice money off of the VIX and then I'll be looking at any potential shorts on Bitcoin, and I'll keep you guys updated on that. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Keep a cool mind. Just keep an eye on the bigger picture, and just have proper risk management if you're taking like super short term trades. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.